Well, hello. I understand I am not in landscape mode. That's because this is just going to be a little bit of a rant. First and foremost, I'm not upset with having to wait to be unloaded like I am right now. I knew booking this load what I was in for. What my rant is to the FMCSA, is to legislators that oversee the regulations and make the laws and rules for truck drivers. Obviously, I know none of them are going to see it. But you know what? I've been in this industry 25 years. I remember when hours of service really didn't affect me at all. It was paper logs, and then I remember when ELDs and everything came in. And here's the thing. I understand why there is a governing body, or however you want to consider the FMCSA and the DOT. I understand why there is a department like that to oversee and kind of regulate this industry. I also understand safety. I believe in safety. I believe that as a professional driver, which you are from day one when you get that CDL license, I would even argue when you are a permit holder, you are behind a commercial vehicle. You should be responsible. You should be professional. You shouldn't be wearing flip-flops as you're driving down the road. You shouldn't have your, shouldn't have your leg up on the dash. There's just so many things you should not do. I don't need to get into all of them. But what I'm going to say about hours of service, and what I would love the FMCSA to look into, is why not hold shippers and receivers accountable as well? Not just us. Because here's the problem. A lot of these shippers and receivers are what is directly affecting safety. What do I mean by that? Well, here's the deal. Could I be on duty right now? Yep. Could I be off duty right now? I could. I could be off duty and go out on a walk and go do something. Or I could be in my sleeper berth, getting a sleeper berth split in, right? I happen to be on duty right now because I'm sitting in the driver's seat, and I don't need to stop my clock for any reason right now. I have nothing going on after this. But what if I did? What if I wanted to climb in the bunk right now and go to sleep and get in a sleeper berth? Well, here's the thing. I would ask you, the people making these laws, these people making the decisions, are you able to lay down at night? And just picture you're laying in your bed and somebody is shaking your bed when you are trying to sleep. Are you able to do that? Have you ever laid in a bunk of a truck while it's being loaded or unloaded? Have you heard all the banging that goes on when your trailer is being loaded or unloaded? Not to mention all the other trucks that are around you. I got a truck on my right, a truck on my left. I'm stuck in the middle. Both trucks are running right now. Mine isn't. So you have the sounds of the trucks. You have the purging of the air. You have so many things that don't allow you to get a restful night of sleep. So I would ask you, FMCSA, DOT, and legislators that make laws, think about that when you are making these hours of service regulations that we must abide by and follow, or we get fined along with the carriers and things like that. Once again, let me say this. I support safety, 100%. What I don't support is the lack of enforcement on other parts of this industry other than the truck drivers that directly affect the safety of the people out there on the roads. Because I can't get a restful night of sleep while I'm sitting in a loading dock getting loaded or unloaded. Now, let me give you an example. I currently am in a dock being unloaded. I had an 11:30 appointment. I showed up a half an hour early, backed into the dock, I have been sitting in this dock getting unloaded now for 4.5 hours. How is that even possible? How is that okay? How is it okay for a shipper or receiver to hold a truck that has to abide by federal guidelines to operate and move goods around this country for over 4 hours in a dock? Why is that okay? And if you're going to make the argument that I should be sleeping right now, you're right. And after 25 years, I've learned how to sleep with all the noises, all the sounds, the rocking of the bed, essentially, because of how they're driving into my trailer to load it or unload it. I've learned how to adapt. But you know what? It took me a long time to do that. It took me a lot of time of my 10-hour break being over and feeling exhausted. Now, I have a responsibility as a professional driver, probably not to operate that way. Well, what does that mean? That means probably going to get yelled at by my dispatcher because I'm going to call in and say I can't drive, I'm too tired, and I don't want to risk an incident or an accident. So they're going to get mad. The customer is going to get mad and probably not accept me when I get there or make me reschedule an appointment, because those appointments are really not negotiable at the shippers and receivers. However, that only is a regulation for the truck driver. Once the truck driver is checked in, they can hold you as long as they want. And like I said, hey, I got a question for the FMCSA. Is this supposed to be on duty time? Right? I mean, if I can't get a restful night of sleep or get a split sleeper in my bunk, how can I consider that sleeper berth time? Certainly not restful. You certainly don't hit REM sleep, which I would, without, I am going to be an asshole here. You probably get every night. All the lawmakers and everybody like that, you probably get some REM hours of sleep. You don't do that. You don't get that in this industry because of situations like this. Not only that, you have the brokers that call you. You have the shippers and receivers that are calling and texting you. You have Capstone that's texting you 3 or 4 times, trying to, have you take surveys and things like that after you've paid your lumper bill. Here's the thing. I've already paid my lumper fee, right? I've already paid for them to unload the truck, to break the pallets down, to count the product. Why am I still here waiting for my paperwork? Answer me that. That's what I want to hear somebody that is overseeing these laws and regulations and making them answer me. If I've already paid a bill for something that they say they have done, right? They've unloaded my truck, which they're not done unloading. They've broken down the pallets, which they haven't done because there's still pallets in my truck, and they've counted the product. Well, they can't do that with pallets still on my truck. So I've already paid for services that they haven't completed yet. And let's say they did complete them. Well, why am I still here then? Because that happens all the time too. How many times do you sit as a truck driver? I have sat here in loading docks with green lights, meaning I am unloaded, my trailer is empty or loaded, and sat here and waited hours for them to call me to come and get my BOLs, which is my paperwork that the FMCSA mandates. I have paperwork for all the loads that are on my truck when I am transporting goods on the interstates and highways. I have to have a bill of lading. So I have to sit here and wait for that and then abide by your rules that you have imposed, right? Without climbing in a truck and being in one. I just think that's wrong. And I don't know, like I said, I believe in safety. I believe in being professional. I believe in this industry. But I have a huge problem with people that have never been in a truck, never understood what it's like to be exhausted and not being able to sleep because of all the things that are going on around you. And you'll lay in that bunk for 10 hours and wake up and feel usually worse than you did when you climbed into it. And then have to do your job. And like I said, right now I'm on duty because I don't have anything that I'm required to do right away in the morning. If there was something I was required to do right away in the morning, I'd be in sleeper berth trying to sleep while my truck is rocking, while there's banging going on, while the trucks next to me have their backup beepers beeping because they're backing into a dock, or they're running and their air valves are purging and their air system is purging. How is that a restful, good night of sleep to make me safe to drive on the interstates and the highways? That's my question to you. Anyways, like I said, 12-minute rant of what I think the biggest problem is in safety in trucking, and I don't think it's the truck drivers. I think it's the shippers and receivers. I really do. They at least contribute to it. The truck driver is definitely responsible for being safe and cautious while operating the vehicle. I can't argue that. You're right. You're 100% right. It's my responsibility to drive this vehicle properly, correctly, and safely. There's times that is difficult for me to do because of shippers and receivers. Why can't you regulate them? If the FMCSA and these lawmakers can regulate and federally mandate things that I can do, I'm punch out to use the bathroom, make sure you log this. If you can mandate all those things, why can't you do it to these shippers and receivers? They're part of this industry. They're a huge part of this industry. Huge. I would argue they're bigger than the actual trucks. Because without them, I don't have anywhere to go. So, I don't know. Hope everybody got a good, restful night of sleep. And, keep on trucking.